Hello, everyone. My name is Flor Munguia, and the topic that I chose for my research paper and obviously this research presentation is on medieval Persia, the government, the political views, and the rulers. So, my thesis for, again, my research paper was, as it says here, medieval Persia was a revolutionary time period due to their strong military power, its lasting cultural influence, and their concepts of freedom and human rights. So, just keep in mind, everything else is pretty self explanatory, but just keep in mind those three key concepts. So for the military power, what the main artifact that was found for the Persian Empire was and I apologize in advance, I don't think I'm going to say it right, the Behistun monument. It's a tableau. I apologize if I didn't say that correctly, but yeah, it's basically a tableau that commemorates the military success of Darius I. The title of the piece is called Liar Kings. It's an explicit depiction of Persia's success in warfare made by Persia. Again, it's pretty rare for archaeologists to find artifacts from Persia. They still don't really know why they haven't found as much as they were hoping to, but this is a really good example. This is like a really good depiction of what they have found. Let me see. The next slide's going to have a picture of it, but other artifacts, were warfare images of common motifs in their art. So they put them on rocks, personal decorations, stone sculptures, painted wood, and seals. I will also be showing you guys photos of that. But yes, the tableau, the Behistun monument, has the title of the Liar Kings. And what it basically is depicting, which I'm going to show you guys right now, is you can see Darius I, which is the tallest one there. So you can see Darius I stepping with one leg, victoriously upon his contender, Gwamada, while he's facing a line of 9 defeated enemies, chained together by a rope. Which you can see their arms are behind their backs, and you can see the rope. So yes, this is considered an explicit depiction of Persia's success in warfare made by them, which is really rare. And then, there are other artifacts that have been found about the Persian Empire's military, like I said, and I will be providing those later. Okay, and then when it comes to their culture, you can see the pictures that I put on the right, which I'm going to go into detail right now. So, although they haven't been able to find pieces of artifacts like the one I showed you prior, they have been able to find small little artifacts. And many of these artifacts, are a clear depiction of their culture. They have been found on rocks. Their inscriptions on rocks, seals, funerary monuments, personal decorations, and about 2,000 to 3,000 findings of sealed clay tablets have been found. Their cultural influence has protected them from invaders, which I'm going to give you an example right now. So one of the scholarly articles I used, it's called Persia in all caps. So basically they were interviewing Persians, about their history, and they basically mentioned the same thing. This Persian said, and I'm going to quote this: "When invaders come to Iran, The Iranians did not become invaders. The invaders became Iranians. Then the interviewee goes on to say their conquerors were said to have gone Persian, like Alexander the Great, who, after laying waste to Persia, adopted its cultural and administrative practices. So Persians were able to keep their culture alive by influencing their invaders and settlers. And then with the photos I inserted in this slide, for example, the bottom right photograph depicts Cyrus the Great. And I'm going to provide more pictures of, well, not pictures, because, that was so long ago, but more depictions of how they believe he looked like. Because I personally believe he is the most important person when it comes to the Persian Empire. And again, I'm going to go into detail as to why I think that. So when it comes to their culture, there has been invaders and settlers that have gone to their lands and taken over. Obviously, since then, there's, been a fall of the Persian Empire. And they weren't really allowed to speak their native tongue. From the same article, the interviewee mentions that, over the years that they have been punished for speaking in their native tongue, but she gives credit to the literature that was written in Persian because that's what helped them keep their language alive. And I provided some of these. Most of these were poems that were written in Persian. So I provided some of those here. But even then, the people who wrote these poems in the literature were killed because of that. So I'm going to be talking about the Persian empires next. This is my favorite topic out of everything that I just spoke about, just because it's really interesting and there's more evidence that has been found when it comes to this. But the concept of freedom and human rights originated in Persia under Cyrus the Great. Again, Cyrus the Great was their first leader, and I believe he made the most impact. Personally, I believe that he made the most impact in the Persian Empire, and I'm going to tell you why. So one of the most important, I think it's the most important artifact that was found was the Cyrus cylinder. And it was a decree that has been described as the first charter of human rights. It predates the Magna Carta, and it calls for religious and ethnic freedom, banning slavery and oppression of any kind, as well as taking property by force and without compensation. So I did provide a picture of the Cyrus cylinder right there. I think the Cyrus cylinder is revolutionary. It obviously tells you how they dealt with people and how they dealt with, how their empire was ruled. And this is something that was never done before. They were the first to advocate for human rights and freedom. So, and this is way before the Magna Carta. So I think that's really important. So going more into detail about Cyrus the Great. So this is a photo. Sorry, not a photo. This is an illustration of Cyrus the Great. So he freed enslaved Jews in 539 BC. He ended up sending them back to Jerusalem with money to build a temple. Again, he was the first person to give people human rights, regardless of race and ethnicity, and he made it illegal to own slaves. He, like I said, he set the precedent for other empires.